Hey, I'm Mike. Welcome back to WMD Garage. Just figured I'd make a short video this fall, just in case over the winter I decide to change up the motor yet again. Well, there she is, my DEERE DIY electric zero-turn mower, electric drive, electric blades. Those are the same motors from the old one. The old one, it being version 2, they're about 750 watt motors, and I've machined adapter for the motor down to a shaft that goes down and mounts the blade through the original, I don't even know if you can see that, through the original spindles of this mower, so that the cutting forces of the blades aren't relying on the bearings in the motor, they're relying on the large bearings that are in the original housing. Under here is where I put the battery. This is a 74 amp hour 48 volt lithium iron phosphate battery kit from Jag 35. It comes with all the cells, they're LEV60 cells. Comes with the printed circuit board battery connector here and compression plates on the end. So what I did is I took the plates and mounted them to a 1/4 inch piece of steel at the bottom, which is basically the bottom of this battery box. And all the sides are 3D printed. So basically the only thing that the sides hold on is the top. Everything else is connected to that bottom plate of steel. Now, this works, so nobody can judge me for my wiring, because there's nothing more permanent than temporary wiring that works. So I've got a 300 amp BMS over here going out to some distribution in here. There's a relay on here for overcurrent protection. There's also a fuse in there. And then it goes out on the side of the box over here. I'll try to put in some pictures here. But there are plates, quote unquote plates, 3D printed plates at the end of here that screw on, because I knew that I would eventually be making changes to this battery and the connections that it has. So there's I believe it's a QS9 connector for the main power that goes from there down here and plugs in to this box down here on the deck. QS9 anti-spark connector. And then inside here are all the controllers, framing are all the controllers for the deck motors. The power and the signal all goes through one cable, and they each have a quick connect here. These are the signal wires as well that go into this. The reason this heatsink is on here is because I thought this, since all the grass comes out through the mower, and this handles the exhausting of all the grass, I thought it was overheating. It turned out to be a different issue, but anyway, I put a heatsink on the controller mounted on that one. All of them are mounted inside this aluminum enclosure, which is just, you want to see a spaghetti of wires, don't even open it. But all of them are mounted to the aluminum enclosure, and then, like I said, this one I put a heatsink on. There's one there, and then there's one on the other side for each one of the deck motors. That right there is a linear distance sensor. It's made for injection molding, and that's what I used to do the steering on this. So there's the front cylinder right there is the displacement sensor. It's basically just a linear potentiometer, so it can see how much that rod moves in and out, and that's what's fed back to the drive controllers, which are sitting. Take it a different way. Nope, not gonna work. So the drive controllers are right there, and that's what feeds the motors, and from those linear displacement sensors, the controls for each stick. A little more view of the deck and that aluminum box with the controllers in there. Just got key on off. This is a battery voltage meter. PTO on off when the safeties aren't engaged, and obviously emergency stop cuts all the power. So funny thing about the emergency stop is with the way this works, the regenerative braking of the drive motors and controllers is what stops the mower when it's going. So if you hit the E-stop, you effectively have no brakes. Cut to video. Yeah, that. So I'm gonna try and give you a little better view over here. So this is the previous battery that I used on the version 2 mower. Nothing's changed in here. It's not even connected. I just use it for weight. Again, you're not allowed to judge my wiring. It works. I love that feature. Makes it so easy to work on. Like I said, these were machined from the original deck spindles to adapt the shaft for this up into the motor, and etc. Anyway, a lot of breath from pumping it up. So anyway, when I was looking at designing this, I figured that I should have the weight distribution in the center, so I put the motors all the way up front, squeezed them in there. So the motor goes into a gear reduction box, then out to, I believe it's a 14 tooth sprocket, and then a 48 tooth sprocket on the outside. And this is just a 1 1/8 inch steel shaft that's then machined on that end for a taper and a key to lock on the parking brake handle, or not handle, parking brake drum and shoe. I'm gonna fire my camera, man. He didn't start the video again. That's not good. I was thinking I should have a center of gravity kind of in the middle of the mower versus, you know, hanging out back like the engine was. So I didn't put the motors back there, which is the very back. So I got a big empty space back there. Turns out you should put them, I should have put them in the back because I need more weight on the rear wheels. The front wheels need less weight because they just turn. The rear ones have all the traction. You know, brain fart, I know now. Anyway, that's a quick overview of where we're at so far with this project. The deck motors are underpowered. Wheel motors could use more torque, but that's probably not going to happen because of cost, because, my God. I tallied up what I was in this, and I don't want to think about it. It's terrible. Thanks for watching. See you around.